I think
Can we start? Do we have
I think
any
so.
layers? Okay, so let's start. Um, Kia ora everyone from New Zealand. Good afternoon or good morning to you all from any place in the region that you are located. Hopefully you have a good day or you have had a good day because here in New Zealand it's afternoon, it's 4 p.m. Um, First, I should acknowledge the earthquake that was quite a strong in Philippines, and hopefully all the mayors, communities, people, and everyone are safe in the region, and there has been no adverse impact on yourself, your families, colleagues, and friends or communities. And I wish you all, on behalf of the organizers and the team, safe and really fast recovery from the impact of the earthquake. Um, so today session is focused on the module 3B. Um, for today, just a quick introduction and housekeeping of the session. I myself, Ali Bahman Temri from the University of Auckland, New Zealand, with Fernando, we are coordinating the session. Fernando also is one of our colleagues from the University of Waseda. So he later also joined me to say hi to you all. For today's session, we have one inspirational speaker from New Zealand, from Mopihi Center. Dr. James Miller will join us later. Kindly share his experience and his knowledge with all of us. And then I will ask with along with Fernando to and ask and invite honorable mayors to present their vision about their cities. We have a short exercise, a Mentimeter exercise, and we try to create a kind of foundation for our practice and exercise later. I will share my experience with you, specifically focus on the localization of SCG 11 in New Zealand. And then we have a short break. We will come back from the break and we have a discussion among ourselves and share our experiences with each others. And at the end, we invite Dr. Edgar from the Philippines also to introduce module 4. Um, floor is yours, Fernando. Please also say hello, and if I miss anything, please add.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ellie, for the kind introduction. And also, let me join you in sending my best wishes to everybody in the Philippines and in the region who might have had a tsunami warning or who might have experienced this earthquake, hoping uh, that the country recovers as soon as possible and as quickly as possible, and there are not more victims. Uh, Also, just thank you so much, Majors. I'm looking forward to today's session and to see your homework and to keep building up on the contents that we started developing 2 weeks ago in the first part of Module 3. So thank you so much and looking forward to today and back to Ellie.
Thank you, Fernando. As I promise, I think we have a group photo first before the inviting the inspirational speakers. Am I correct, Sandra?
Yes.
It's the time? Yes, okay. Um, so probably I should ask all the honorable mayors and all the participants, please open your camera for the photo. Um,
Also, Ellie of Fernando. So I'm sharing the screen. So I would like to ask how if Ellie of Fernando, you could help take the photo.
Or maybe we stop sharing the screen for the photo.
Oh,
Ah, yes,
yes,
good.
that's.
Yes, stop.
I
Yes, I
was
think we
waiting
can.
for
Okay,
that.
yes, let's do this photo
Yes,
first.
so no,
Okay, so
yes.
honorable mayors, let's get ready. Okay, so I would say it's 3, 2, 1. Okay, okay, so let's do another. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Yes, thank you all. And let's share the screen again.
Okay, I think it's the time for inspirational presentation from a quite unique context of New Zealand and the Mopihi Center. We invited Dr. James Miller from the Mopihi Center. That is the best, one of the best examples of localization of urban development and housing and community development in New Zealand, the Maori and Pacific Housing Research Center. And James is a senior lecturer also at the University of Auckland. I want to invite you, please share your experience and also a little bit information about Mopi Center with us. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Kia ora, Koto. I'm James Miller. Just take a moment here to share my screen. All right, can you confirm that you all can see?
It's very clear.
Great, thank you. All right, so I'm just going to briefly introduce Mapihi, the Maori and Pacific Housing Research Center that I'm a co-director at. So we're a university research center at the University of Auckland, and our focus is on improving housing outcomes for Maori and Pacific communities in Aotearoa, New Zealand, as well as within the Pacific region. My focus is on the Pacific region and our research strategy in the Pacific. So we're committed to improving housing quality and supply for Maori. Oops, sorry. Apologies. Committed to improving housing quality and supply for Maori and Pacific communities through impactful research that is Manaki-centered or uplifting our mana spirit, and based on Tikanga Maori Pacific values, Te Tiriti, and Vision Mataranga principles, expert knowledge, and transdisciplinarity. So we're a research center of about 25 affiliated researchers across the faculties at the University of Auckland. I think representing every faculty at the University of Auckland. And as you can kind of see here with the diagram, our focus is on supporting Haora, family and community well-being through aspects of the housing ecosystem, from improved housing quality and supply to land and commercial forests, to building innovations and cost reductions. And just to provide a brief overview of our strategic research, our research strategy. We have 3 streams. One is housing infrastructure and climate futures. Another is housing and well-being. And lastly is housing innovations and systems. I'll be happy to take questions on more of this if you'd like. But to go ahead and get into the presentation. So what I'm going to be presenting on is work that I had done previously in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. It's where most of my research has been focused over the last decade. And this was working with the World Bank in their Urban Resilience Program and the Marshallese Ministry of works, utilities, and infrastructure. And the goal of the project was to define what resilient public urban spaces were contextually within the capital city of Madura. So first was to think about what does resilience mean from a Marshallese perspective. And I'd also add that on our team was Dial Keiju, Umeo Momotoro, and Kiana Angelo, who are three Marshallese urban planners and community development experts. So it was working with them to understand the localized context of how do we interpret these UN developed definitions. So we have the World Bank or UN definition of resilience, the capacity to recover, to recover from shocks and grow from a disruptive experience. That resilience is not only about bouncing back, it's about building adaptive capacity, which we're probably all somewhat familiar with. But in the local context, more or less, the resilience framework comes across as jargon, and it's really understanding what are the cultural values and understandings, ways of life that reflect the aspects of resilience as we kind of understand from the kind of global perspective. So three terms come or from the Marshallese language that also have kind of deep meaning, reflect aspects of resilience. One, Elang Kain Ad, which is the connectiveness of islands, and this has to do with a long history of moving between atolls as risks such as typhoons impacted communities, and resources were needed from other areas. This also built relationships through intermarriages across the atolls and more. Then Perbedijan, which is building foundations that protect the land from destructive ocean forces. This has to do with the strength of the coral reefs in protecting the land, which then becomes an embedded value of how to protect communities from outside impacts. And then lastly, Alele, which Alele is this little satchel you see in the illustration, which represents how the importance of protecting the things that are most important to communities. So those became really kind of the grounding way of thinking about what resilience was within an urban resilience project in Maduro. And this extends across infrastructure and connectivity, the built environment, and social fabric. So the things we always have to work with, thinking about water, energy, other utilities within infrastructure and connectivity, repairing roads, having pedestrian connectivity via sidewalks and safe spaces to walk and play, and then also improving connectivity across urban context. But then how does this work across traditional or hereditary land tenure? And how do you secure the rights or essentially the right of ways for infrastructure projects across multiple different land holdings? And then for the built environment, aspects of tradition and traditional values for development, which is development along the lagoon, which is generally speaking, the protected side of an islet, as opposed to on the ocean side. And then providing various types of vegetative buffers, both as barriers for privacy, but also barriers to protect from impacts of prevailing winds and storm surges. And then these all become pretty embedded within the social fabric and understanding how communities live and work within space, and then become drivers as far as how do we think about resilience planning and future-proofing urban centers with respect to culture and social social values. So to provide a bit of a historical and context to the Marshall Islands, as I mentioned, the hereditary land system. It's known as the Watto. This is kind of a diagram of it, both in plan and section, and demonstrates, hopefully you can kind of see the connection from one side is the ocean to the other side is the lagoon. And then in the center is the freshwater lens, which is crucial, obviously, for potable water, as well as irrigation for agriculture and agroforestry being the predominant system of agriculture. And then you can kind of see the diagram of the houses predominantly built on the lagoon side. And then adding to that kind of environmental planning context is the social systems and value systems that become embedded within the practice of the traditional context, where essentially all activities are done together. So supporting the idea of togetherness being really important, and being able to provide spaces and opportunities, programs, et cetera, that support those social aspects. So then why are these traditional patterns important today when we think about resilience and in particular to Madro? So what you see here is the two sides of Madro Atoll. One is the urbanized center, which is the capital, known as the DUD or Jaret Ulaga Delap. And then the other side of the atoll, which is Laura Village, which is actually what looks fairly rural, was the original settlement and village on Madra Atoll. And what is important to note is that, and I don't have the full picture of the atoll, but Laura is in the south west corner of the atoll and protected which northeasterlies as well as direction storm surges. So settlement on Laura was generally protected, whereas Madro's the capital, the DUD, is in the northeast quadrant, which is directly exposed to both prevailing winds and the direction of typical storm surges. And it's also a smaller landmass, so it's more susceptible to soil erosion and larger impacts from typhoons as well as storms, other storms. So so I'll go through the first step was doing the rapid urban analysis of Daylap, Ulaga, and Jaret, the urban capital, to identify vulnerabilities, gaps, and neighborhood profiles in order to start understanding interventions that could improve resilience based on those Marshallese principles I identified before. So first, looking at an important aspect of the DUD, I kind of mentioned that Laura, the more rural area, less developed, was the original settlement, and the DUD was settled much later. Really, it was settled between 1900 and well, in present day, and it's a rapid urbanizing area. You can kind of see in these diagrams, these are just figure void maps of those three islets, the DUD in the DUD, and it kind of shows you the quick succession of urbanization in the post-World War II era up until 1976, which is kind of the end of the trust territory to the Pacific when the United States occupied the Marshall Islands. And what we also notice, with rapid urbanization, as we are probably aware, is you have a rapid decrease in open space. And open space is a really important function to supporting a lot of the sociocultural patterns of daily life, as well as providing things like shade from an arboretum and other opportunities like food producing trees through continued agricultural practices. So going from 76 to today, just give you a quick look since you're paying more attention now, probably. So 76 on the far end there to 2020, you see much more rapid urbanization and filling in of all the remaining voids, to the point where you have only 20% of open space remaining on the three islets, where 65% of that landmass is built up, and about 15% being roads. So we could consider roads being open space, and this being important when we think about resilient public spaces, because open spaces allow for those gathering areas and for various activities to take place. So it starts to lead us to think about exchanging potential thoroughfares for more public spaces, or buffers between residential areas. And then other important thing to note is that majority of this urban center lies within 1.5 meters from a storm zone inundation zone. So the highest point being 1.5 meters. So highly susceptible to both sea level rise as well as impacts of king tides and the combination of king tide with storm surge, which leads to, generally speaking, mass flooding today. So some of the critical gaps that were identified is that for population catchment areas that were cross-referenced with shelter capacity, they reveal an immediate and measurable gap, that there are a lack of shelter areas, and the catchment for existing shelter areas is too large. I mean, essentially it just needs more emergency shelters within each zone. The land tenure is probably the biggest issue for moving forward urban resilience plans, due to the hereditary title and the difficulty working across multiple ALEPs, which are the landholders, hereditary landholders. And then the new shelters that are provided are going to now need to serve multiple functions, from everyday community use and emergency refuge, and in order to meet multiple programmatic needs from the community. And kind of the pressing item is that there's real real financial constraints, and the need is urgent. It's immediate, needs to be met immediately. So just to give you an idea of some of the current state from one of the islets in the DUD, the urban area we've been looking at in Rita, population predominantly residential, single family homes of about 9,000 people. And there's only at least six approved shelters with a capacity of 4,000 people. So you have a gap of 5,000 people served by the current emergency response. And then some of the other shelters in the area are privately owned, and don't have equal access by the public. And there's also an issue with some of the existing emergency shelters not having proper structural capacity due to deterioration caused by the salt spray. So just to give a sense of compounding impact. So this is just a map of a inundation event. So you see the flooding in the blue in relation to the emergency evacuation shelters. So you see that there's very few that are not impacted by storm. And the ones that are in red and orange or black that are not in a flood zone are either unacceptable to moderate, due to the structural capacity of the buildings. So just looking from urban resilience from a emergency response space, there's a lot that needs to be considered. But it also starts targeting areas in the DoD to start providing not just emergency shelters, but also open spaces that can have multi-functions of gathering, but also providing parks and recreation spaces. So to briefly go through the three areas, this image is an aerial of Daelop, which is kind of in um, the end of the downtown core. It's where the government administrative buildings are, as well as the main harbor and the fisheries, and it has the largest park in the city. Oops. And then moving to Ulaga, this is in the center of the DUD, the smaller islet of the three, but a high density of residential mixed with commercial. This was the original military base, both developed by the Japanese and later taken over by the United States and slowly developed into the Trust Area headquarters and then became a predominantly residential area and is a pretty aging urban environment, which provides or more susceptible to rate impacts or hazard impacts. But it also has some of the key cultural assets. The museum is in Ulaga, as well as early learning center and another harbor for predominantly local commercial use. And then lastly, Jarrett and Genrock, which are the predominant residential neighborhoods in the DUD with highest residential density, but has minimal public infrastructure. And it has the most exposed coastline to storm surges and typhoons. So for the highest population density of residents, it probably has the highest vulnerability to storm impacts. So through the analysis, this rapid analysis of the three islets for the downtown, some of the key findings is this extremely vulnerable to climate hazards compound existing social needs. In particular in the area Genrock and Jarrett, which have the kind of lowest socioeconomic residents. And then infrastructures historically guided growth, but without resilience planning, and that infrastructure is more than 100 years old to a large extent, in need of massive upgrading. And then this issue with land tenure, if you're putting a right-of-way for infrastructure projects, you have to have agreements with all of the hereditary landholders. And then this issue with shelter capacity, that the current emergency response is not meeting the current need, and it's an urgent, there's urgency behind developing improved risk response. And then some of the questions for future work is how would the density per each area or each islet and the financial feasibility for improving these areas. And then how community ownership, given this hereditary land ownership models, might improve future development and improvement of infrastructure and resilience projects. And I can happy to share this urban design handbook that was developed as part of this project. And then just to end with getting into kind of the design proposal or design solution for one of the resilient public spaces in Madro. And a key here was informing the approach through traditional ecological knowledge and in order to both demonstrate or, have that context-specific place-based approach, which also was seen as a value for hereditary landowners as well as community, that it actually reflected what their values and their culture show. So there's three principles that kind of led this. So I had mentioned the way of thinking of resilient, or how resilience becomes defined within a Marshallese perspective. Those terms, Alele, Elan Kainad, and Pedibedijan. There's three parallel principles or overlapping principles that help think about development of space. One is Ipandun, which is togetherness, and it's really thinking about people are going to come together, but what brings them together? And if they're coming into a space to utilize for recreation or just enjoyment, what are other elements in that space that can either educate on risks or improve community resilience in other ways, and I'll kind of explain that in a moment. Another term, Jemjemil, which is the importance of working together. This kind of the next phase of the project, which was not done by me, but others, was how to bring people together within the process of developing these master plans for the Urban Resilience Program. And then lastly, the importance of ENRA, which has to do with the redistribution of resources within community. So then the three principles guided possible scenarios in how investments might take place within the development of resilient public spaces within the urban core. So there's the three concepts were foundation, so more about reinforcing and protecting the landmass and the built environment on it. A second, looking more at what are the most important areas that might be deserving of more fund or investment in future proofing and resilience. So maybe it's the port, or it's the administrative center of the island, or maybe it's the residential key residential area. And then the last was thinking about what are how can we use incremental development of a network of spaces throughout to improve overall resilience. So these just kind of diagram those concepts out. So one, thinking about how do you reinforce important areas. The other, that small network of interventions that improve more localized resilience at the neighborhood scale. And then I think, oh, sorry, the first slide had the reinforcement version, or the foundation. So one that we investigated was that the idea of investing in one key area as part of the public space investment priorities. And that was looking at the government center, where the key administrative buildings were, as well as the main public space for the community in the DoD, and that is known as Daylight Park. So you kind of have an aerial on one side. The old Capitol building is on the far left, and the kind of open spaces in front of it is the main part of the park. And then these are just two conceptual renderings of what a resilient public space might look like. And some of the key aspects of this was, how do we reintegrate understandings of the traditional Wado and the ecological knowledge of maintaining an agroforest within that space that can both provide, could provide food, but provide stormwater management systems, as well as educate communities about impacts of climate change, as well as be connected, have that kind of continuity and connection to culture and traditional knowledges of the place. And then other things like providing car parks with photovoltaics and recreation fields for the community. And so that's where, as I mentioned, this is kind of where I left off it with my team, in just doing the analysis and kind of initial concepts, and then it was taken over, the next step being done by others for the full master planning of the DoD. And I'll end it there. Fa Fetai Lava. Thank you very much for taking your time and having me here to talk a bit about our work with Mapihi and the research being done in the Republic of the Marshall Islands.
Thank you very much, James. Really inspirational projects. I really enjoyed listening to your experience and the project that you had. And just I want to also mention at the beginning that James kindly accepted to join us from Samoa. He is not in Auckland at the moment. He is participating in a conference, in a housing conference in Samoa, and he has stepped out of the conference just to present this work with us, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So if there is any question or any things that you want to ask about the project from James. I see question the chat from Kendari, Honorable Mayor of Kendari from Indonesia. Thank you for the interesting project. Undoubtedly, traditional local knowledge plays a role in building resilience of community and environment. However, in some cases, its existence was neglected, exactly because of the rapid development of city regions. In several disaster-prone areas, the awareness of the importance of the traditional knowledge was coming late after the disaster. This is exactly how to integrate the needs of city development to the traditional ecological knowledge, and what are the trade-offs. This was an amazing question. Yes,
Yeah,
James.
great question. Yeah, I think I also like the point of it's often referred to after the fact, and realizing that, oh, maybe we should be paying attention to traditional ecological knowledge in our disaster planning or disaster management. Yeah, I mean, I think you have that issue in the Marshall Islands as well, where the kind of rapid urbanization outpaces the localized knowledge. I would say though that for some of I mean, so typhoons don't actually hit the Marshall Islands that often, maybe once in every 50 years. It has to do with their location, where they're more located in the origin points of most typhoons in the northern hemisphere in the Pacific. So they luck out and not getting hit consistently or frequently. So the last major typhoons were in the 1980s, and then before that, 1950s. Before that, it was early 1900s. And there was a period where, so yeah, thinking about that succession of dates and typhoons and the urbanization process, where the worst impact was the one in the early 1900s, where the local residents did know to leave essentially that area, the DUD, and go back towards either there's a long line called Ajultaki, which translates to essentially long line of islets, or to Laura. And then what happened is when the typhoon came, it actually tore all of the topsoil off the islets and put it in the lagoon. And that's where the Japanese at the time were building a base. But yeah, that's 100 plus years ago. Fast forward to the 50s, urbanization hadn't fully taken in, right? So again, impacts hard to kind of think about if I think about the big impact in the 50s and even the one in the 80s is that there was a replacement of housing. So traditional houses, which were typically um, thatched roof, timber framed with cordage connections, became replaced with concrete or timber framed wood or more conventional Western building practices. And then that actually led to then you started to see more replacement of traditional knowledge, at least within the built environment, in that kind of between essentially the 1950s, 1960s to 1980s. But I think a lot of the knowledge for actual impacts on environment there is continuity in knowledge, but perhaps not in practice. And I think this just raises a really good point of if we understand a long duration of knowledge set in place in how, essentially what typical impacts or hazards are, whether it's seismic or cyclonic or flooding, we can better understand the areas we're living in and what's likely going to happen in the event of, mass flooding or a cyclone or an earthquake, and be better prepared. And I think it really I think we're seeing more and more evidence show that building traditional ecological knowledge within our disaster mitigation planning is only going to benefit the urban communities living in those risk zones. I think we even saw that in New Zealand in the recent history.
Thank you, James. Any other question? Any other points that honorable mayors they want to address or they add to the discussion? Okay, no, thank you very much, James. I really appreciate your time, and it was a very interesting case that you shared with us. Thank you very much. I don't want to take that much of your time. I know you are in the middle of a workshop, so probably you need to get back to the conference. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank
and see
you.
you later
Appreciate
in
it.
Bangkok.
No worries.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Thank you. Okay, I think it is the time to listen to the presentation and city visions that honorable mayors of cities shared with us. I want to invite you kindly, please share your slides, or actually I think it is a master slides, but I will ask you to join us and invite you to open your microphone and discuss the city vision for your cities. Probably I need to start by inviting the first honorable mayors of city of Bangkok from Nepal. Floor is yours.
Namaste, good morning, everyone from Nepal. Let's start my presentation. Please. Our main vision to build Baraikot into a safe, inclusive, and resilient community where every household, especially the most vulnerable, lives with dignity. Ensure housing has access to essential services and is prepared for future disaster through community-led and sustainable development. Who we serve every household in Baraikot with intentional focus on women, children, elderly, resides person with disabilities, and marginalized families who face the greatest barriers to recovery and long-term security. How we will get there? Community-led planning and decision making at every stage, secure disaster resilient housing for all households, renewable access to clean water, health, and education, strengthen local institution and governance, partnership with NGOs, governments, and other donors. Please, next slide. Uh, Four pillars of strategy. It's our strategy. Our approach is built on four interconnected pillars that together create the founding for a thriving resilience barricade. Secure housing, rebuild homes to disaster resilience standards, prioritizing the most vulnerable households and ensuring no family is left behind. Disaster preparedness, equip communities with yearly warning systems, emergency plans, and the skills to respond to and recover from future shocks. Essential service, restore and expand access to clean water, healthcare, education, and sanitation for every community member. Inclusive governance, strengthen local leadership, ensure women and marginalized voices are heard, and build the transparent, accountable institution. We welcome collaboration with local governance, NGOs, donors, and community organizations. Together, we can make Barakut a model for sustainable community-led recovery. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Mayor. This is quite inspiring. And let's move to our next presentation. In this case, from Pakistan, the Honorable Mayor Arsalan Arif from the Tribal District Orakzai. Honorable Mayor, I believe you are here, so please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, respected colleagues, distinguished mayors, and fellow participants. Greetings from Pakistan. My name is Arslan Arif and representing Central Orakzai. So, the vision guiding my initiative is to build a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable Central Orakzai through community centered development and climate responsive local planning. So, Central Orakzai is a region with significant potential but also unique developmental challenges. Our communities continue to face infrastructure limitations, climate vulnerability, restricted access to essential services, and connectivity gaps in certain areas. So, in addition, some communities have experienced the long term developmental impacts of displacement, structural challenges, and limited access to opportunities over the years. While the broader realities form part of our context. So, this initiative focuses on practical and locally achievable development priorities. Our vision emphasizes inclusive infrastructure, improved public service delivery, stronger youth and community engagement, and more sustainable local planning approaches. So the initiative also promotes resilience, participation, and collaborative local development to ensure that community priorities are reflected in future planning and implementation processes. So through inclusive planning, stakeholder collaboration, and community-centered development, we aim to contribute towards stronger, more resilient, and more sustainable communities and Central Oryx. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next honorable mayor is from City of Iloilo. Please share your vision with us. Floor is yours.
Good afternoon to everyone. So on behalf of our mayor, Mayor Raisa Treñas, we'd like to present the vision that she crafted. She actually stands that he cannot make today, but he will try to catch up maybe after this presentation. So for Iloilo City, the main challenge we want to address is the increasing waste generation in the city, solid waste and all other waste type of waste, plastics, especially through encouraging sustainable social behaviors that support a circular economy, fostering conscious consumption, waste reduction, and resource sharing practices applied in daily life. So with this, the vision of the city that will guide us in addressing this challenge will be grounded in the culture of accountability. That is why we are really focused on the social behavior change. So to present the vision, we'd like to have this. For Iloilo City, the vision is to foster a culture of shared responsibility where Ilonggos, businesses, and the Iloilo City government collaborate to minimize waste, value resources, and embrace sustainable behaviors that support circular and regenerative future. So we are proud to present that vision, and we hope that we can really take that challenge for the city. And the mayor is on top of this, and she would like to really give focus to this initiative. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and this is quite interesting. And now, moving on, we continue in the Philippines. This case in Pilar, in Surigao del Norte, with Honorable Mayor Yasa Gonzalez. So, please, if you are around, turn on your camera. Huh? Hello? Do we have a representative from Pilar?
Yes, I think I have probably there's technical issue with the microphone, I think.
I guess. Yeah. Hello, I'm sorry, but we cannot, I mean, at least I cannot hear you on my end. Uh, I think we are seeing you move your lips, but we are not being able to hear. So maybe there is some technical issues. I'm sorry. Uh, no, we are still not able to hear your voice. I don't know what's the issue.
Can you hear us? Are we audible to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, probably You can fix, you can leave, fix, and rejoin again, and probably it solved the problem.
Yes, maybe we can go to the next presentation while we try to solve the. I'm so sorry for the troubles, but so let me just introduce quickly. Let me introduce also from the Philippines in Lapu-Lapu City, Honorable Mayor Ma Cynthia Chan, which are the representative from Lapu-Lapu City here with us.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. This is a representative from Mayor Cindy Chan. Here in Lapu-Lapu City, we have a water crisis. And it's entitled "A Threat to Lapu-Lapu City's Sustainable Development." Please, next slide. Here, we have our own program. It's called Saura ang Ulan. It is from our city disaster risk reduction. It is harnessing alternative source and protecting nature infrastructure. So as a city, we always promote water governance and resilience. Next slide, please. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so
Yes, I think. Do you think the honorable mayors of Pilar, the problem, the technical issue is solved, or still I think we cannot hear because the microphone is open, but we cannot hear them. No, you're not audible still. So if it is, I think we need to move to the next city, and we will return again to you. Probably it will be solved till then. Okay, so the next city I think in my list is the honorable mayor of Magararo City. Yes.
Hello, good
Hello.
afternoon, everyone. I am Aaron Aven, the representative of Municipal Mayor Attorney Mario Maruhay Senior of the Municipality of Magarao, Camarines Sur. Excuse me. So our initiative's vision is a future-ready municipality of Magarao where empowered civil society organization and MSEs thrive in a culture of innovation, technology, and collaboration, transforming local talents, products, and enterprises into globally competitive opportunities, fostering inclusive, proper prosperity, sustainable growth, and a resilient economy for every Magarawenyo. We envision Magarao as a center of innovation and enterprise where no organization or entrepreneur is left behind in the digital age. Through accessible technology, continuous learning, smart business development, and expanded market opportunities, CSO and MSEs will be equipped to unlock their full potential, create quality livelihood, and drive community progress, guided by innovation and inclusivity. This initiative seeks to build a dynamic enterprise ecosystem that connects local ingenuity with wider markets, ensuring that the growth of Magarao is shared, sustainable, and future ready. Thank you so much.
thank you so much for this presentation. And now moving to the city of Makati, Honorable Mayor Binay. So, Honorable Mayor, Makati City,
Okay.
yes?
Good afternoon to all. Makati City is currently facing a growing challenge in solid waste management, driven by an increasing daytime population. These pressures are further compounded by behavioral gaps in waste segregation and limited downstream recycling and recovery infrastructure. In response to this challenge, and as part of today's visioning exercise, building on my previous assignment, I am articulating a guiding vision to steer the development and implementation of this initiative. This vision is anchored on the Makati Vision 2024-2034, which envisions Makati City as a leading financial hub in Southeast Asia, strengthened by its secure and self-reliant citizens and stakeholders, empowered by an excellent and inclusive public service, supported by a multifaceted, sustainable local economy with a climate adaptive and disaster resilient environment that is boosted by robust and responsive green infrastructure and enabled by transparent and digitally transformative governance. Translating this citywide aspiration into a focused sectoral direction for solid waste management, the city advances the following ambition. Makati City shall be a climate and disaster resilient circular city that minimizes waste and maximizes resource value by extending the life cycle of materials through reduction, reuse, recycling, and recovery, enabled by inclusive participation, green infrastructure, and transparent digitally driven governance. This transition is supported by three critical foundations. First, inclusive participation, where residents, businesses, institutions, and the transient population actively practice proper segregation and responsible consumption. Second, green infrastructure, including modern waste facilities, material recovery systems, and nature based solutions that enable efficient and sustainable resource recovery. And third, transparent and digitally driven governance, ensuring evidence based decision making, real time monitoring, and accountability across the waste management system. Ultimately, this transformation is about redesigning the system so that waste is minimized at source, materials remain in productive use for as long as possible, and all stakeholders contribute to building a more inclusive, sustainable, and resilient Makati. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the interesting presentation and the nice visual presentation of your vision. That was really interesting. The next city is Honorable. I want to invite Honorable Mayors of City of Bakur, Mr.
Hello.
Striker.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm filling in on behalf of Mayor Strike Rebellia. So this is the vision of Bacoor, where resilience is built into every system. So for the city of Bacoor, our vision is, as stated earlier, a Bacoor, where resilience is built in our every system. So the vision responds to one central challenge, which is the rapid urbanization is already outpacing the city's integrated resilience and waste management systems. So we see this in three interconnected concerns, which are flooding, traffic congestions, and increased solid waste generation. So by 2030, Bacoor aims to transform these compounding urban pressures into opportunities for a smarter, greener, and resilient city. So for our approach, it is anchored with three pillars. First is the green flood infrastructure, which means that it's improving the drainage not only through conventional engineering but also nature-based solutions as well as green roofs, bio bio whales, and improved flood early warning systems. Second is the circular waste economy, which is instead of treating waste as merely of collecting or disposing of such waste, Bacoor seeks to promote segregation, material recovery facilities, waste to resources hubs, and other measures against illegal dumping. And the third pillar is smart data governance, where through our KIMD, Korea Smart Partnership, the city can develop a more unified data platform for a real-time dashboards and other integrated of mobility, drainage, and flood information. So with these pillars, they are not separated, but they are all connected. They tend to function as one connected urban resilience system. Ultimately, our goal is to build Bacoor where infrastructure, technology, environmental protection, and public participation works together, so that it's not a simple response to a crisis, but rather a permanent feature of our city plans that governs and grows. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this fantastic presentation. And now it's the turn. We are moving to Indonesia, in particular, to Kendari City, to Honorable Mayor Siska Karina Imran. So please, Kendari City, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fernando. So, on behalf of Mayor Siska, I will be representing her in presenting this homework. So, based on the challenges that Mayor Siska presented in the previous meeting on solid waste management issue in Kendari City, where the growing solid waste generation up to nearly 100,000 tons per year, and also the weak waste sorting at the source and high dependence on the landfill of Puatu, and also limited infrastructure and operational equipment to process the waste, and also regulatory enforcement and institutional coordination among the stakeholders are not optimal yet. And the last but not least, the challenge was the behavioral change is the hardest part. So what is the vision that draws us to address these challenges is that through the tagline Cleaner Kendari and Kendari Circular, we try to build a clean, healthy, and circular coastal city where every neighborhood sorts their waste from the source, from the home, from their economic sites, and etc. And also to reduce dependence on the landfill of the city that turns waste into shared responsibility among the stakeholders through LULO. LULO is abbreviation of lihat, urai, lakukan, and olah. So lihat is see in English, see, and also urai is sort, segregation of the waste. Lakukan is doing actions, and olah is process in English. So these are the tagline that we are using to to promote the awareness, the motivation to take part or involved in this kind of action. So the core direction of this initiative is that sorting, community behavioral change, and also landfill reduction dependence, and stronger local service delivery of the waste management of the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, let's try to come back to Pilar in Surigao del Norte. Let's hope that the sound issue has been solved. So, Honorable Mayor, please, if you don't mind.
Hello.
Oh,
yes.
Hello, good
perfect.
afternoon.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
finally. Thank you so much.
can
So,
hear you. That's great.
All right.
yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Genevieve, and I will be representing Mayor Jess Gonzalez of the Municipality of Pilar. And allow me to uh, briefly introduce the vision that guides our proposed solid waste management initiative, the Project Limpio Pilar. So at the heart of this initiative is the vision of Mayor Jess Gonzalez for our municipality, which is for Pilar to become a resilient and green community in Siargao, promoting sustainable development in agriculture and ecotourism towards a balanced and inclusive growth through good governance. So this vision reminds us that um, solid waste management is not simply about keeping our surroundings clean. It is also about protecting our environment and supporting our livelihoods and strengthening our tourism and building a more resilient community. So, through this project or initiative, the Project Limpio Pilar, we hope to contribute to this vision in several ways. So, first is by encouraging the proper waste segregation, recycling, and composting, we can create a cleaner and healthier community. Second is by protecting our natural resources as as a coastal community or municipality and a growing tourism destination. Pilar relies heavily on its rivers, mangroves, beaches, and marine ecosystems. And through proper waste management, we can help preserve these resources for future generations. And also aside from that, we can support agricultural sector as since our data since our data tells us that a significant portion of our waste is biodegradable, organic waste can be converted into compost that may benefit our local farmers and may contribute to food security. Fourth is it can enhance our ecotourism. Clean communities and well-maintained tourist sites create a better experience for our visitors while helping preserve the natural beauty that Pilar is known for. And finally, this initiative promotes community participation and good governance by involving households, businesses, schools, and barangays. We encourage shared responsibility and commitment towards environmental stewardship. So through the Project Limpio Pilar or the initiative is more than a waste management, no? It is one of the ways we can move to we can move closer to our shared vision for a resilient, green, and sustainable Pilar. On behalf of Mayor Jess Gonzalez and the Municipality of Pilar, thank you for the opportunity to share our vision. Marajaon adlaw sa ato tanan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I think it's time. It is. We have 15 minutes, probably around 15 minutes to break. Am I correct, Fernando? Because the time is, for me, is in New Zealand time, so I'm not sure what is the time now. So
Yes, but we can continue with the Mentimeter exercise and your lecture, or if you want, we can do your lecture and then merge the Mentimeter and the breakout after the break. So whatever you prefer.
yes, I think we can do that because anyway, the Mentimeter activities is related to the discussion, and we want to use the last questions for the breakout room. So probably we can go first for my presentation. That is just another brief of a localization of SDG 11, and then we return and continue with the exercise and merge the Mentimeters exercise to discussion. Yeah, I think that's
Yes.
a good idea.
Yes, so we do
Okay.
the Mentimeter after the lecture. Yes.
Yes. So just we have to, because of the time for break that we need, we slightly change the timing and the schedule. First, I share my own experience of localization of the SDG 11 and some kind of insights from my work experience and also New Zealand experience here. And then after the break, we continue with the discussion, group discussion and breakout room discussions. So I want to ask, please, Songkang, to move to the next slide.
Can we move to the next slide, please?
Slide. Do we have any technical issue with the master slide or?
Sorry, Ellie, did you mean your presentation slide?
My presentation slides.
Sorry, you mean this slide or which slide? Sorry.
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. And then when we return from the break, we continue with the Mentimeters.
Yes, so I understand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Okay, so yes, just briefly, I have around 10 minutes. So please go back to the previous slide. And in the first, yes, here, just briefly, I want to explain. I have around 10 minutes to share my idea and also experience with you all about some kind of plans or kind of pathways to move from visions that we have for our cities to action, how we can implement the vision and the plan that we have. For example, we want to develop inclusive and integrated urban plan and policy for our cities to achieve sustainable and resilient city, but how we can achieve really in practice with some tangible example. Next slide, please. Yes, we have a concept, inclusive urban and territorial planning. We think after some kind of experimental investigation, we think this approach can be helpful for us if we break the steps from vision to a positive, desirable outcome that we really expect. We can break it to some stages. First, we identify the problems. We have some priorities, we have some hierarchy of the problems and agenda, and we formulate our vision for a city. And you are even better than me in doing this in practice. So we have a structure, a governance structure, urban planning system. I myself have been part of this process when I was working in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. If please stay in the previous slide. Thank you. Previous slide, please.
I might have some information errors, so yes, correct me if they tell me which one is the slide you want.
Previous slide, please.
This one and still the previous.
Previous slide, yes.
The power.
You cannot go back to the previous slide.
Okay. One minute.
Or if it is difficult for you, I can share my screen.
Which one do you mean? I'm sorry, Eric, which one is the one you want? Hi, Ali, can you hear me? Like, hi, Alex. Can you hear me?
So
Alex, can you hear me? Right, which is like also slightly wrong. I might have some network errors just now. So
okay, should I myself share my slides or?
it's okay. I can still share, but let me know which page you want.
Yes, we were on this slide. We were speaking about this
Oh,
slide.
sorry.
We were discussing this slide with all participants. Yes, so at the center of everything is really financial matters, and how we decide to invest to achieve the desirable outcome that we want. If we want to focus on the public sector investment, if we want to have more private sector engagement, and how we can really attract communities. And the implementation is a series of projects: housing, transportation, and urban services. And the desirable outcomes, of course, is related to economic growth, resilient response to the climate change, livability, and inclusive city. But we need a foundation. You all mentioned we need a participatory approach, evidence-based investigation. We need data, knowledge, and this knowledge includes both local knowledge and also kind of modern knowledge towards urban planning and urban design. And then the products we hope to reach to a competitive, innovative, resilient, inclusive, all those terminologies that we are using for our cities. Next slide, please. Um, the vision is based on some possible future, some things that we think we may see in the future. What would happen in the future? We expect to have autonomous vehicle in our streets, AI integration into urban management, and what might be the realistic situation of our cities. For example, of course, we are facing with more demand for affordable housing, more climate change events that we are experiencing more and more in our cities, more flood. And the probable future is what would be really if we cannot achieve to any dose of any kind of solution for the problem. Still, we experience traffic congestion and also pollution, pressure on the housing sector of our economy, affordability issue. So we want to solve all of this. We need a vision for our future that is preferable. This is what we desire to achieve. A resilient infrastructure, a preferred future for all of us is having a financially suitable city to achieve all the purposes for livability, inclusive city, and really better life for our cities and our communities. Next slide, please. So what is important for us, and we know all of this in practice, is considering the hierarchy in planning. We have a global level of policy making and strategy making. SDGs of UN Habitat is one of them. National level is important. We have to apply the national policy making and strategies in our local plans and projects and policies. and it potentially provides more financial opportunities for us. This is important because we need financial support for our vision, for our policies and plans, for the services that we are supposed to provide for our cities. And it boosts the economic sustainability and also resilience to the climate change, and also we can attract more engagement from the community. We have some examples, very famous examples: 15-minute cities, Spine City, that is another concept that is not anymore specifically for Chinese municipalities, but in New Zealand also we are talking more and more because we have more incident of the flood here. And zero carbon emission also is another thing that we are thinking in our zoning policies. Next slide, please. So we have the vision, we are thinking about action plans, we have some certain pieces to play with them, like a chessboard, like land use, transportation, housing. We have a nature-based solution and economic development. These are some like kind of pieces that we need to play with them to have a kind of integrated perspective, and we need some tools to implement all the visions that we have into action, like codes, zoning codes, regulations, public infrastructure strategies, and projects, standards that we need to meet, and regulatory frameworks is the outcome of this stage for us. And then this is the tools for action. Next slide, please. The next step is what really comprehensively Fernando covered in the previous module. So we need to go back, check and evaluate our practices, learn from the previous gaps in our policies, and renew the policies and try to improve what we have applied in the process of applying vision into the action. Next slide, please. One of these global agenda for us is SDG 11. What is the reasoning? What is the rationale of this? Because we want to solve the problems. We have expanding urbanization. We have unplanned urbanization in many cities. We are consuming more and more greenfield development in rural areas, and we are experiencing more environmental issues, and we don't have enough infrastructure and services and also affordable housing. So the purpose of the session and the practice that we are doing, and all of us, the projects that we try to really implement in our cities, is localization of those global targets. Next slide, please. The focus also for our practice today, later, is discussion around affordable housing, safe and affordable housing, the targets of SDG 11, sustainable transportation, inclusive urbanization, and how we can preserve cultural and natural heritage, how we can manage the disaster hazard that we have around us, around our cities, and manage the adverse environmental impact of climate change, and how we can create more inclusive green space and public space for our communities. Next slide, please. I have a couple of examples here. The first one is a compact city. How we can have a compact city and how it is important for sustainable urban development. Could you please move to the next slide? Mainly three important outcomes in terms of the cost. cost-wise, compact urban development policy is about environmental costs, social costs, and or opportunity costs and financial costs. So if we can save three types of costs, then we have some sort of benefits out of these type of policies. If we can successfully apply the compact urban development, then we can save cost of travel, commuting costs, less environmental costs for the city and for environment for the metropolitan areas specifically, and of course it creates some saving regarding the opportunity cost, the time and social cost of urban expansion without plan, and financial cost, of course, is something that is quite tangible for city leaders. So we expect to see major benefits from these type of practices. Next slide, please. For the compact city, when we are talking about compact cities or compact urban development, we can achieve the goals and purposes by participatory participatory approaches. It is important for us because we can develop more mixed-use development. We can have more infill and brownfield and redevelopment. We can produce more efficient transportation system in cities, in city centers and suburban areas, centers in suburban areas of the city. It might be helpful to to deal with the adverse impact of the rapid urbanization, like informal settlements, and how we can provide affordable housing with the cheaper prices for citizens. And next slide, please. Some examples here, just quickly to cover the examples. One example is Chengdu from China, and the other one is Surabaya from Indonesia. So we have these examples as good examples of a compact city urban development, where we can have urban-rural continuum of urban development, and also dealing with the informal settlements, how compact city can provide some tools to deal with these kind of problems. Another example, and next slide, probably we need to get back later because I think we are exceeding the time for the break. I can share the examples from the New Zealand later after the break if audience, I think it is more than 1 hour and a half. So let's please move to the next slide, Song Han. And then I can have the last couple of slides that is about community land trust and some examples of community land trust after the break. It will be quick, and then I connect it to the Mentimeter practice. Yeah, I think everyone is tired now. So let's have a break and then we continue with the discussion. 5 minutes break?
Yes, I think so. We can have a 5 minutes break and we come to 2 o'clock, regardless of where you are. And we can also, although, shall we have a short question and answer first before going into the break? I think you are muted, Ellie.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I think because I feel probably it is more than 1.5 hours. So I thought probably we can come back for the question and discussion later, and then probably it is easier for everyone to handle the long session.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. So I think now at least it's 38 on my end, so we come back in 7 minutes at
Yes, 7 minutes.
to 15 2 o'clock, anywhere you are. So please
Yes.
go ahead and take a break, have a cup of tea, and see you
Yes.
soon.
See you also.
Hello?
Hi, Fernando. Is it the time to get back?
Yes, I think so. I hope everybody had time to take a break and get a hot cup of tea, coffee, or maybe something with ice. Yes. Okay. So let's get a couple of seconds until people join back. I'm starting to see more cameras turning on. So now, so now we are entering into the more interactive part of the session. So it should be fun for everybody to join. So Ellie, if you shall we start with the Mentimeter?
Yes, I missed a couple of slides
Okay.
because because I wanted to, I noticed that I was rushing throughout the last slides, just the last couple of slides, and then I share my preferring to share my own screen, and then I switch it to the Mentimeters if
Okay.
that is okay. So let me see where is. I can share the slide from the master PowerPoint. Then go back to the, Okay, so everyone can see my screen. Okay, great. So just here, I stopped here. I noticed that I was just really in a hurry to complete my presentation. So just quickly, one example from the New Zealand of localization of the affordable housing SDG 11, how in New Zealand we use local knowledge and local pre-colonial really tradition that is used here, specifically even when the colonial government wanted to repatriate the Maori lands to Maori people. We use community housing and community land trust. There are many examples of community land trusts at the moment in New Zealand, and it is a source of investment, even from the financial point of view. We use this kind of local knowledge. Um, um, one of the questions of the honorable mayors was what kind of trade-offs we may have. We may have some kind of economic cost, but at the same time there are some financial benefits as well. So it is now uh, in the non-marketed type of housing supply, but at the same time it is a source of investment even for the local people, even for the wealthy people. So many people, they are using this mechanism to own their second or third home. So in this mechanism, we separate the value of land from the value of building, or value of property. Is divided in two parts. So the land is owned by the people, and the decisions around improvement and taxation, everything is decided by the community, and but the building is owned by the people. So it creates a type of affordable mechanism for housing. This one is close to my home, to our home is here, and it is one of the examples of community land trusts in New Zealand, and mainly for young couples and also for lower income groups. Even at the top, you see there are solar panels, so it is quite efficient. Another one is in Dunedin, that is quite famous as well. So we see more investment on this type of housing. And this one also is in Auckland. Earthsong is another example of co-housing. It's not anymore for even low-income people. Many people, they prefer to live in this, although it is really affordable. And this is a story of 3 generations of people who are living in this kind of community land trust. So this is the last slide that I have. So if you have any question, you can ask your question. I'm going back to the Mentimeters activity as well. So is there any question or any point that you want to share with us? Any question regarding the localization practices that all of us we heard from yourselves and also from the speaker today? Anything that you want to add, please open your microphone and share your points of view or your question with us. We promise to have a discussion and question and answers when we return from the break. If there is nothing, probably we can move to the exercise. So menti.com is here, and this is the code you can enter. You can use your phone and use the QR code even to join the
yes, so go.
Yes. So
let's keep, yeah. Oh, we
okay.
already have.
That's good. Great.
Oh, wow. Very quick.
Yeah, quickly we have. Limited finance and funding. Yes, this is really important for all of us. Infrastructure limitations. Yes, limited community participation, lack of technical capacity, climate and disaster risk. Weak coordination between agencies, that is really challenging problem. Reliable data information, housing and land pressure, central government regulations, political instability and governance challenges. Yes. Yes, I believe this is the most important one for all the city regions, all the projects that we want to apply in our cities. Let's move to the next question. Who currently has the strongest influence on planning decisions in your city?
Please log in and respond. Okay. So the colors. Okay. Okay.
That's good. Communities and residents. This is interesting. In the case of New Zealand, it's totally different. In New Zealand, we have really indigenous leaders influence over lots of strategies and policies. That is good, and it happened more recently. That's interesting.
I think here in Japan, the national government has a very strong influence because even though technically local governments have their own saying, they have their own saying in what they have been told to have a saying. So the direction very
that
top
makes
down.
sense.
Yes.
But the context of New Zealand is really different in terms of the impact from the traditional leaders and indigenous leaders, specifically Maori leaders. Let's see, what is the next question? How is the situation for the next one? Which area needs the most urgent improvement in your city? Up to 2. Water and basic infrastructure. Circular economy, yeah, yes, that is important, very important. Digital governance, smart systems. It is quite interesting. We think, I myself, I'm working on digital governance, but still it is not that much, I think, responsive at some cases, some points. Okay. Climate resilience and disaster response, there is no, or probably few. Which groups are most often excluded from planning discussions in your city? Peripheral communities, indigenous communities. Youth, oh yes, yes. Just recently here also some political parties, they started to ask more from the younger generation to participate in decision making. Rural and peripheral communities.
Yeah. We have 4 responses, so maybe a couple of people else can respond.
Okay, so this is the last question. We have another question as well for the themes. In 1 or 2 words, what kind of city do you want to create? Just a word. Inclusive city, resilient, green, affordable, safe, livable.
Green and resilient.
So it means, yes, resilient city is the most voted here.
Yeah, we have already 8 responses.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. So first resilient, then sustainable, inclusive, livable, green city. Yeah, I see smart city. We all of us know how fashionable is now smart cities, but of course, resilient, responsive, and sustainable cities are more important. Yeah, that's interesting. And this is, I think, the last question for our discussion. Which topic would you most like to discuss further with your fellow mayors? If you want to discuss implementing city visions that you shared with us, and discuss the barriers, the modes of governance, what kind of governance you think is helpful, the structure of the city to achieve your city visions and decision making, or inclusive cities, urgent priorities, and excluded groups, participatory approach, then we can be divided into breakout rooms, and we can discuss the topics.
We have 6 responses, but 4 thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So, yeah, I think, what do you think, Fernando? Shall we divide the um,
Yes.
participants into two breakout rooms? One for implementing cities with 6, and the other one is inclusive cities. But I believe some
Yeah,
some. Mhm.
I think that there, because we have 8 responses, but
Mhm.
9 answers, so I am not so sure how this works. But I
Mhm.
think that if the mayors can say in the chat in which group they want,
Yes.
we can create the 2 breakout rooms based on this discussion. Also,
Yes.
Songhan, do you think this would be possible to break the mayors based on this?
Yes, and Eddie, and I just opened 3 breakout rooms
Okay.
and
So
name
just
them using this meeting
yes,
room and choose which one to test.
that's really good. Just Songhan, just quickly, let me share again the slides. So we have 2 themes: implementing city visions, inclusive and participatory cities, and then we can discuss these topics. What are the most important priorities, sectors, and what are the main barriers, who influence decisions, and who may be left behind. So this can be a kind of instruction to have a more organized discussions, but you can use your own really approach to this. Just kind of having this as a kind of guideline for us, or just to remind us what can be the discussions for the breakout rooms. And there is an approach, a solution. We can discuss awareness about a problem, alignment across different international, national, and also locals. We can analyze different priorities and options, and how we take to actions the vision, and also what is the accountability, that is feedback and evaluation, and sharing the review with each others. So based on these themes, we can divide um, all the participants into 2 breakout rooms. Um, I'm not sure if we receive responses.
Yes, how to do the technical division.
So I think you have so we don't have the names of mayors who have choose different options in the last name, but what option could be mayors? You can feel free to join the rooms. You have to rename the room name, and you can join the room you want. And the other way is you get the answer from like last round of question, and then we assign the mayors.
Yeah, I think maybe everybody can just go into the breakout rooms option and join whichever you prefer.
Yeah, agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, dear mayors, let's say we have opened 2 breakout rooms, and room one is for including inclusive region, room two is for inclusive cities. You can choose to join, yes, and to join there are 2 breakout rooms.
Um, Yes. Fernando, please, yeah, let me know
Yes.
which one you want, and then we can select a room. And yes, it doesn't make any difference really.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I go 1 and you go to 2.
Okay.
So please, honorable mayors, if you don't mind, join one of the breakout rooms. I see that already some people has chosen. So you need to go down to the breakout room section down in the screen and then choose one that you want to room, the one that you want to join. Either room 1 on implementing city visions or room 2 on inclusive cities.
Okay, so you're joining room 1.
Yes, I think.
Okay, great. I'm going to room 2.
Yes, and maybe also we can share the mirror link on the chat for everybody to use as well.
Yes, that's a very good suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, think we're gonna start moving to our breakout rooms. So
Yes.
you haven't chose, and if not, maybe we will. See, I see some majors here with this the camera on. So please select, and if not, maybe we need to reorganize people ourselves. I see the mayor of Nepal of Barekot. Which one do you want to
Yes,
join? Maybe yes.
two,
If
two.
two, okay.
I want two. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we can also allow you to have you go to room 2.
Yes. Okay, so we are gonna go to the mid breakout rooms, and maybe Songhan, if you stay, you can start assigning some people who are around. Okay. Thanks. See you
Yeah, yeah.
soon.
Yeah. And also Jeremias has he will join the room 1 to also support